Hello and welcome, I'm Joshua Barnes and you're watching The World Report. Let's first take a look at some of the top headlines. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accuses Hamas of blackmail over alleged last-minute changes to a ceasefire deal in Gaza. Following 15 months of fighting, a hostage exchange deal and truce was agreed with support from the US and Qatar. In his final speech as President of the United States, Joe Biden has warned against an oligarchy of ultra-wealthy taking shape in America. Billionaire Donald Trump will assume office on the 20th of January, backed by the world's richest man, Elon Musk. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol is set to miss a second interrogation and leave custody following his arrest. The impeached leader is being investigated for his failed martial law bid. Russia has struck Ukraine's energy facilities with a massive barrage of drones and rockets. This comes amid the announcement of a 100-year deal between the United Kingdom and Ukraine and fresh US sanctions on Russia. After 15 months of conflict, Israel and Hamas have agreed to a 6-week ceasefire mediated by Qatar, Egypt and the United States. The deal includes a gradual Israeli withdrawal from Gaza and hostage releases, though final details are still under negotiation. Here is the full update on the truce.
After over 15 months of relentless conflict in Gaza, a moment of hope has emerged as Israel and Hamas have agreed to an initial ceasefire. The agreement has been mediated by Qatar, Egypt and the US. Final details are still under negotiation.
يسر دولة قطر وجمهورية مصر العربية والولايات المتحدة الأمريكية الإعلان عن نجاح جهود الوساطة المشتركة بوصول طرفي النزاع في قطاع غزة إلى اتفاق بشأن تبادل الأسرى والرهائن والعودة إلى الهدوء المستدام وصولا لوقف دائم لإطلاق النار بين الجانبين. There is a follow-up mechanism that Egypt, Qatar and US are going to handle. It will be placed in Cairo. And this follow-up actually will be a joint team from the 3 countries that will monitor the implementation of the agreement, and everything is being agreed upon and will be in place hopefully on the day of the execution.
The ceasefire agreement sets a 6-week pause, with Israeli forces gradually withdrawing from Gaza. The first phase involves exchanging 33 hostages for Palestinian prisoners, allowing displaced Palestinians to return and aid convoys to enter. The second phase aims for a full troop withdrawal and the release of remaining hostages. The final phase focuses on Gaza's reconstruction and returning hostages' bodies, working towards lasting peace. The ceasefire holds deep humanitarian significance, enabling the World Food Programme and AUKUS to deliver critical aid to Gaza's 2.3 million residents, address severe shortages and offer relief to a population in crisis.
It is imperative that this ceasefire removes the significant security and political obstacles to delivering aid across Gaza so that we can support a major increase in urgent life-saving humanitarian support.
The ceasefire announcement faces challenges, with Israeli strikes killing at least 40 Palestinians in the last 24 hours, but hopes for reconstruction and stability persist. In Gaza, crowds erupted in celebration as news of the ceasefire and hostage release deal spread.
أغز على بيتنا اللي انهدم. أول إشي هروح على بيتي. تاني إشي هعمله أما أروح عيط وأفرح. ثالث إشي هعمله هعمر بيتي. أهم إشي.
People hugged, took photos and gathered in the streets, expressing joy at the prospect of peace. Bureau Report, NewsX.
Let's now take a look at the latest news updates from across North America. Elon Musk congratulated Jeff Bezos. Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket reached orbit on its first flight. This milestone marks a significant achievement for Bezos' space company. Blue Origin confirmed the successful launch from Florida, carrying a prototype satellite into orbit. Bezos has been launching paying passengers to the edge of space since 2021. Los Angeles received a break on Wednesday as dangerous winds calmed. Firefighters continue to fight deadly blazes. Over 40,000 acres have burned, claiming at least 25 lives. Onshore winds will bring moisture, but concerns remain. Hotspots still smouldering as crews stay alert. President Joe Biden has extended a program for Hong Kong residents in the US by 2 years. This program allows them to stay beyond their visa expiration. Many of these individuals fled Chinese reparations. This extension is expected to heighten tensions with Beijing. It is the second time Biden has renewed this program, first initiated in 2021. US inflation accelerated in December with a 2.9% increase from last year. Gas, eggs and used cars contributed to rising prices. However, core inflation fell to 3.2%, showing signs of easing. This may encourage the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates later this year. The trend is positive but still requires monitoring as economic conditions evolve. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has warned that extending Trump's 2017 tax cuts will increase unsustainable deficits. She stated that the current fiscal path is not sustainable and could have dire consequences. Yellen estimated that extending these cuts could add $4 trillion to deficits by 2034. While the cuts benefited many, they were criticised for favouring the wealthy. Greg Norman has been replaced as CEO of Live Golf. Scott O'Neill, an experienced sports executive, will take over. O'Neill will focus on strategic growth and operations for the league. Norman, who helped launch Live Golf, will still be involved but hand over daily management. At 69, Norman has been a controversial figure in golf's division between separate tours. Just as the ceasefire was made official, US leaders were quick to claim credit for it. While outgoing President Biden claimed that the deal was developed and negotiated by his team, President-elect Trump said that the ceasefire agreement was only possible because of his historic victory in November. Let's take a deep dive into the claims.
As Israel and Palestine celebrate the news of the ceasefire deal, US outgoing president claimed credit for the long-awaited truce. However, he also mentioned that Trump's team will ensure the implementation of the agreement.
This deal was developed and negotiated under my administration, but its terms will be implemented, for the most part, by the next administration. In these past few days, we've been speaking as one team.
While Biden said his administration had been speaking as one team with the incoming administration of Donald Trump, the president emphasized his role and that of his administration in closing the deal. He said the framework for the agreement followed the precise contours of a plan he first introduced in May 2024. And just as the news conference ended, the president was asked who should take credit for the deal, him or Trump. Biden turned back and said, "Is that a joke?" before walking away. Trump, meanwhile, said on Truth Social that the epic agreement was only possible because he won November's presidential election. His Truth Social post even came much before Biden's official announcement. Despite the dueling messages claiming the credit for the ceasefire, the two administrations worked in close coordination as the ceasefire agreement came into view in recent days. Both Biden's envoy Brett McGurk and Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff were reportedly in Doha as the talks reached the finish line. Meanwhile, reactions from all around the world have started pouring in following the announcement of the ceasefire.
I welcome the announcement of a deal to secure a ceasefire and hostage release in Gaza. I commend the mediators, Egypt, Qatar and the United States of America, for their dedicated efforts in brokering this deal. Their unwavering commitment to finding a diplomatic solution has been critical in achieving this breakthrough.
כנשיא מדינת ישראל, אני אומר בצורה הברורה ביותר, זה מהלך נכון, זה מהלך חשוב, זה מהלך הכרחי. אין חובה מוסרית ואנושית, יהודית וישראלית יותר גדולה מלהחזיר אלינו את אחיותינו ואחינו, מי לשיקום לביתו ומי למנוחה נכונה.
中方欢迎达成加沙停火换俘协议， 希望协议能够得到有效执行，实现加沙全面永久停火。
Meanwhile, there's mixed feelings among Israelis and Gazans on the ceasefire deal.
أريد أن أبكي ولكن لا أجد الدموع الكافية بحيث أنه أكثر من 40 مليون ثانية مرت علينا في كل ثانية كانت قلوبنا تتقطع ألما وحزنا على ما يجري في قطاع غزة.
Here's how Israelis feel in Tel Aviv.
גם מעורבת, מצד אחד שמחה גדולה שחוזרים אנשים חיים, על אלה שחוזרים חיים. מצד שני צער גדול על אלה שחוזרים בשקיות, וכאן אנחנו הולכים לחטוף מכה חזקה מאוד, מורלית.
While the larger part of the world hopes for peace, an end to over 15 months long war, both sides have stepped up military operations in the final hours before the ceasefire take effect as a way to project strength. Bureau Report, NewsX.
Let's now head to South America for more of their latest news updates. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro told lawmakers that the country's inflation was 48% annually in 2024, the lowest in 12 years. He said in an annual address to the National Assembly and other officials just days after he was inaugurated for a third term. The government has employed orthodox methods to try to tamp down inflation, which has reached triple digits in recent years. Maduro said this month that the economy grew by 9%. Argentina will roll out changes to the country's anti-dumping system, according to Economy Minister Luis Caputo. This is to promote greater competition and bring down prices. The changes include reducing the maximum duration of anti-dumping duties from 5 years with unlimited renewals to 3 years with a single 2-year extension. The official said Argentina's current provisions for anti-dumping duties have increased consumer prices and industrial costs. The senior Venezuelan diplomat in Paris has been summoned by France. This is due to protests against Caracas' decision to limit the number of French diplomatic personnel in the Latin American country. This summons follows the Venezuelan regime's decision to reduce the diplomatic presence of French embassy. Venezuela has imposed these restrictions, citing their government's hostile response to President Nicolas Maduro's inauguration for a third term. The former Director General of the Haitian National Police, Mario André, was sworn in as Haiti's new Secretary of State for Public Security. He has returned to lead the country's security system after 13 years away from public service. The installation ceremony was held at the Prime Minister's office in Missou, Port-au-Prince. André return comes as Haiti grapples with gang control and widespread violence that's left over 5,600 people dead. 5 people were gunned down in Hoyt-Zelac, Morelos, a town plagued by criminal groups. Victims were campaigning for local resource management roles ahead of March elections. Gunmen intercepted them on the same street where 8 were killed last year. Mayor Cesar Diaz condemned the attack, denying cartel links. Blood traces and candles marked the scene on Tuesday morning. 200 National Guard troops arrived to aid patrols. Locals fear recurring violence when security forces leave. President-elect Trump's January 2025 inauguration will feature key events including a reception, MAGA rally and swearing-in ceremony. The celebrations end with national prayer services. Corporate donations include $1 million each from Tim Cook, Meta and Amazon. Entertainment includes Carrie Underwood, Lee Greenwood and Christopher Macchio. Here is the full update.
President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration in January 2025 will feature several events. A reception and fireworks at Trump National Golf Club on January 18th, a wreath-laying ceremony and MAGA rally on January 19th, and a service at St. John's Episcopal Church, followed by Trump's swearing-in and inaugural events on January 20th. The celebration will conclude with a national prayer service at Washington National Cathedral on January 21st. A range of corporate donations has backed the inauguration. Earlier reports indicated that Apple CEO Tim Cook is personally donating $1 million to Trump's inauguration fund. Meta Platforms and Amazon also contributed $1 million each, while Bank of America has expressed intent to contribute. In terms of entertainment, several renowned musicians are set to perform throughout the weekend. Country singer Carrie Underwood will sing America the Beautiful during the swearing-in ceremony, while Lee Greenwood, a longtime collaborator of Trump, and opera singer Christopher Macchio will also take the stage. The Village People, famous for their songs YMCA and Macho Man, will perform at Trump's victory rally and one of the inaugural balls, much to the delight of his supporters. This inauguration, with its blend of celebration, reflection, corporate influence, and star-studded performances, promises to be a momentous event in American history. Bureau Report, NewsX.
Let's now take a look at some of the latest updates from the Indo-Pacific region. Taiwan will deploy its navy if needed to assist the Coast Guard with suspicious activity near undersea cables. Defence Minister Wellington Koo reported a Chinese-linked ship damaged a cable north of Taiwan. The ship, owned by a Hong Kong company and registered in Cameroon and Tanzania, was not boardable due to bad weather. Coast Guard couldn't verify its intentions. Authorities have started evacuating 3,000 residents near Mount Ibu in Indonesia. This follows an eruption that sent ash 4 kilometres into the sky. The eruption lasted about 2 minutes. The alert level has been raised to the highest status, while Coast Guard are prioritising evacuation due to the volcano's activity. The Philippines and China will seek common ground despite disagreements in the South China Sea. A 10th round of talks was held to address tensions. Disputes over vessels in the area continue. Relations are at a low point due to frequent conflicts. Nvidia demands advanced packaging from TSMC. CEO Jensen Huang stated the technology needed is evolving. The Blackwell AI chip uses a complex CoWoS method. Nvidia is shifting to CoWoS-L packaging. This change is not about cutting orders but increasing capacity. Advanced packaging demand remains strong. China will apply provisional duties on industrial plastics imported from the United States, EU, Japan and Taiwan. This follows an anti-dumping investigation. Duties range from 3.8% to 74.9% and begin on January the 24th. Plastics can substitute metals like copper and zinc. They are used in auto parts, electronics and medical equipment. Plastic bottles and beer cans litter Phuket seas. The island faces a garbage crisis with over 1,000 tonnes of waste accrued daily. Trucks move trash to an expanding landfill. By the year end, trash could reach 1,400 tonnes per day. Residents struggle with the smell and air quality, while authorities aim to cut waste by 15% and expand disposal options. In his farewell address, outgoing US President Joe Biden delivered a powerful message, warning of rising oligarchy and misinformation while reflecting on key moments of his presidency. He also took credit for the recent ceasefire agreement, as we mentioned, between Israel and Hamas. Here's the reports.
Outgoing USA President Joe Biden delivered his farewell address to the nation on Wednesday night. He warned of a dangerous oligarchy taking shape in America and urged America to stand guard against it.
Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead.
The speech by President Biden also included his warnings about climate change and social media disinformation. He warned that Americans are succumbing to misinformation.
Americans are being buried under an avalanche of misinformation and disinformation.
He used his last televised speech to aim at the ultra-wealthy tech industrial complex. He claimed it could wield unchecked power over Americans.
I'm equally concerned about the potential rise of a tech industrial complex that could pose real dangers for our country as well.
His farewell address came on the same day he announced a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. Biden said the negotiation had been some of the toughest of his career and took credit for helping get the deal over the time. Incoming USA President Donald Trump also taking credit for the agreement. He claimed it was only possible because he won the election in November. Bureau Report, NewsX.
We'll now look at some news updates from across the world of business. China has announced that it will launch an investigation into US exports of mature chips. These electronic components are used in a wide range of products, from cars to home appliances. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce has claimed that US-made chips are being sold at very low prices, which they argue is harming the legitimate interests of the domestic industry. Germany's Lufthansa airline group is set to resume flights to Tel Aviv next month. The announcement follows Israel and Hamas agreeing to a hostage prisoner exchange and ceasefire deal. However, the airline has clarified that its suspensions of flights to Tehran and Beirut will remain in place till at least February the 14th and 28th respectively. Apple has lost its status as the best-selling smartphone brand in the Chinese market last year, according to Canalys, a global technology market analyst firm. The California-based tech giant claimed 15% of the Chinese market. The company ranks third behind Huawei's 16% and market leader Vivo's 17%. Sri Lanka has secured its largest ever foreign investment by signing a deal with Chinese state-run oil giant Sinopec. The company has agreed to invest $3.7 billion to construct a state-of-the-art oil refinery, which will have a capacity of 200,000 barrels. Britain's economy grew by less than expected in November 2024. According to official data, the GDP expanded by 0.1% in November, following a 0.1% contraction in October. Analysts had anticipated growth of 0.2% for the month. This data comes as a fresh setback for the Labour government, which is already facing challenges. Staying in Britain, and the energy giant BP said it would axe 4,700 staff jobs and cut thousands of contractor roles as it slashes costs. The company said this move is part of a multi-year programme to improve BP's performance. South Korea's political crisis deepens further as impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol denies to participate in his second round of interrogation. His lawyer cited health concerns as the reason. Let's find out more about the situation in South Korea.
South Korea's arrested President Yoon Suk-yeol does not intend to take part in a second day of questioning, according to his lawyer. His questioning is due to resume at 2 p.m. on Thursday, according to the CIO. However, one of Yoon's lawyers cited Yoon's health as a factor and said further questioning was pointless, without elaborating. Yoon was taken to the Seoul detention center on Wednesday evening after refusing to cooperate, where he was expected to have spent the night in a solitary cell. The embattled leader did not even reply to a question, an official from the Corruption Investigation Office for high-ranking officials said. Yoon's refusal to cooperate with investigators comes as the Constitutional Court is due to hold a second hearing in his impeachment trial to determine whether to remove him permanently or reinstate his presidential powers. Authorities have 48 hours to question the suspended president, after which they must release him or seek a warrant to detain him for up to 20 days. The CIO officials said they understood it was possible to forcibly bring Yoon for questioning, but would make further checks on relevant laws. Earlier, Yoon said he turned himself in for questioning to prevent what he called the risk of unsavory bloodshed, though he continued to protest that it was an illegal investigation and invalid arrest warrant. Meanwhile, a small crowd of protesters supporting Yoon gathered and sat on a road outside the CIO office, calling the president's arrest illegitimate. Bureau Report, NewsX.
Let's now head to Europe for more of the latest news updates from that continent. Sweden is seeking to modify its constitution to enable the revocation of citizenship acquired fraudulently. Dual citizens involved in offences like treason may face the loss of their passports. The government points to risks like violent extremism and hostile foreign actors. The proposal also focuses on reducing immigration. Changes to the constitution require a parliamentary vote and a second approval after elections. Ireland's main centre-right parties, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, have agreed on a coalition with independents. This deal ensures a comfortable majority for the new government. Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael aim to continue high spending policies and will cut VAT for food services. Michael Martin is set to return as Prime Minister on January the 22nd. The French Socialist Party may back a no-confidence vote against Francois Bayrou's government. They demand changes to pension reforms as a condition for support. Bayrou has opened discussions, but Socialist leader Feur stated it is not enough. We will vote no confidence unless our demands are met, he said. Kosovan authorities raided 10 municipal offices in ethnic Serb areas on Wednesday. This action aims to dismantle Belgrade-backed institutions ahead of parliamentary elections. This move reflects Kosovo's commitment to maintaining the constitution and the rule of law, as ethnic tensions rise before February's elections. Prime Minister Albin Kurti has made this a key part of his campaign. The leader of Transnistria visited Moscow for energy talks. Russia cut gas supplies on January the 1st due to Moldova's unpaid debts. This has resulted in power outages and cold conditions in the region. Moldovan President Sandu blamed Russia, stating that Transnistrians are under Kremlin control. Moldova offered assistance with gas purchases, but Transnistria rejected it. Germany's GDP declined by 0.2% in 2024, marking the second straight year of economic contraction. Experts also dropped by 0.8%, reflecting weak global demand. The fourth quarter saw a small decline in 0.1%, indicating no imminent recovery. This situation represents the first back-to-back annual decline since the early 2000s in Germany. That is unfortunately all we have time for, but we'll be back with more of your latest international news updates very soon.